What are we building for? We built a system that works perfectly. AI has automated exactly what we designed it to automate. Now we choose, what do we want to build next? I believe this is more than an AI question. It's a design question. And design is a moral choice. Think, what are we actually solving for? Not how do we implement faster? To begin from an ethical perspective, before you add the tool, you must ask, what problem are you solving? Every rubric you've written, every way you've organized a classroom, every assignment you've designed, those were choices. Good choices, probably, but choices, which means they can be different choices. The predictable, narrow system you designed, it's predictable and narrow by design. When you then say, but some students can't fit, that's not a student problem. That's the design problem that you made. And the ethical question is, do you want to keep making it? So look at these two classrooms. Same assignment. One student completes a task. The other, uh, the AI handles the thinking. One student thinks, the AI helps them iterate. Look at what's visible. Who's doing what? We see the left side of compliance. Student receives the task. AI generates the solution. Student submits. Student passes. The thinking is invisible. The AI does it. The student watches. If we look at the right side of agency, student's messy thinking. AI clarifies in questions. Student refines. Student decides. AI questions more. The thinking is visible. The student does it. John Hattie noted in Visible Learning 2009, updated in 2015, that the most effective teaching doesn't hide learning. It makes thinking visible so students can think about their thinking, which is metacognition. He found that feedback loops, where students see their own thinking process, have the highest impact on learning. The compliance model hides the thinking, the agency model exposes it. Design shows and outcome proves. This isn't an accident. This design creates this outcome. You don't retrofit inclusion into a system like this. The system is the exclusion. Jenny Oakes, in Keeping Track, 1985, her groundbreaking study showed that classroom tracking systems don't remediate. They reproduce inequality by design, not by accident, but by intention. Once you sort students into handle ambiguity and need structure, the system maintains that sorting. She proved the design choice to have different tracks creates the outcome of different students, not the other way around. Paulo Freire, in the Pedagogy of the Oppressed in 1970, distinguished between the banking model, depositing knowledge into passive recipients, and the liberatory model, people becoming subjects of their own learning. Both are design choices. A compliance system is banking by design. So, what gets lost? When AI does the thinking, students never practice observing their own mind. David A. Kolb, Experiential Learning, 1984. The learning cycle requires do, reflect, abstract, experiment, do again. If AI does the do part, the whole cycle breaks. You can't reflect on something you didn't do. Kay Anderson, Peak 2016, deliberate practice creates expertise. The practice must include struggle, failure, adjustment, struggle again. Remove struggle and you remove the pathway to expertise. This is especially true for neurodivergent expertise, which often requires deep practice within narrow domains. To be ethical with AI and instructional design, you're not inventing something new. You're returning to something old. If we have a look at the visual here, we can see the Kilpatrick 1918, the project method. William Hurd Kilpatrick proposed that learning should be organized around projects that matter, not subject boundaries. He was responding to factory model schooling over 100 years ago. His insight: if you ask students to do the real work, they learn real thinking. Then we come into the middle of John Dewey, learning by doing. John Dewey, at the center of this diagram, believed education should be experiential. I hear and I forget. I see and I remember. I do and I understand. He didn't mean busy work. He meant authentic engagement with real problems. Different minds engage through doing different ways. Kinesthetic learners need movement. Visual learners need to see patterns. Autistic kids need systemic depth. Dyslexic kids need hands on exploration. But they all learn through doing, not through receiving. Bruner in the 1960s, learning through discovery. Jerome Bruner argued that students should discover principles, not be told them. Discovery equals struggle plus insight. He was clear. The active process of discovery is the best teacher. Again, neurodiversity lens. Discovery looks different for different minds. From Kilpatrick to now, there's one consistent finding. When students engage with real problems that matter to them, learning deepens. So, who decides? The fundamental design choice in compliance systems, the teacher decides. In agency systems, students decide. As you look at the left, there's a teacher in the center with arrows pointing to the students. All information is flowing from the teacher. The teacher is the sole authority on what's correct. And if you have a look at the right, is the student centered, the student in the center. Pathways are going in multiple directions. Teachers are guides, resources, questioners. Losing control feels dangerous, but you haven't lost control. You've shifted it from I decide what's right to I decide the conditions where thinking matters. And that's more powerful. Amy Kamarian, who did some PBL research with the University of Michigan, states that decades of research show when students have agency, choice in how they approach problems, what counts as success, outcomes improve, particularly for students who've been told their thinking is wrong. Herb Cole in The Discipline of Hope, 2003, on the refusal to learn, that many students don't underperform because they can't, they underperform because they've been told their way of thinking doesn't count. When the system shifts to value their thinking, they often shift overnight. This is especially true for neurodivergent students who've internalized, my brain isn't broken. Partner or a shortcut? Same tool, radically different uses. One really doesn't do a lot of benefit for thinking in a linear way. One enhances it if used in a good way. As we see in the left side, there's a student task, ChatGPT output, student submits. I know it's not that simple, but if you think of it as a simple workflow, the incentive structure says get it done. AI becomes a shortcut. Students' thinking is bypassed. This is what everyone fears about AI in school. If you look at the partner in a PBL system, the student's messy notes and research, AI can clarify, student can question, AI can ask them questions about it, AI can question more, they can ask questions. That's an iteration loop. Here, AI makes thinking visible so the student can think about their thinking. The ethical difference: in the left system, AI is a lie. The student submits someone else's work. In the right system, AI is transparent. The student's thinking becomes clearer and they can improve it. Tristan Harris and Aza Raskin from the Center of Humane Technology note that a tool is ethical or unethical based on how it affects human agency. Does it enhance your ability to make choices, or does it replace your choice making? AI used as a shortcut reduces agency. AI used as a thinking partner enhances it. Carl Newport notes on distraction and tools, tools are amplifiers. They amplify what you're trying to do. If you're trying to avoid thinking, they help you avoid it faster. If you're trying to think deeply, they help you do that. The tool isn't the issue, your intention is. So, you don't need permission to start. You don't need a district mandate. You don't need approval. You can start right now inside the compliance system. Of course, check these things with your leadership. But what I'm saying is, these are some things you can start thinking about. These are some things that you can start considering for your own classroom. So there's 4 boxes here. In box 1, you take 1 unit. Just pick one thing, even one subject, one project, one assignment, and turn it into a problem and see how the students will try to solve that problem. In box 2, you can make AI decisions explicit. When you're really talking about it and scaffolding it and teaching the students how you're using it to make the choice visible. What am I going to use AI for in my own design? Box 3, assess process, not just the product. So that could be a show me your drafts, show me what changed and why, show me your thinking. This takes 10 minutes to set up. It's easy to ask AI for process-based assessments based on your normal product as well. And box 4, you can let neurodivergent students teach you. This is the observation point. What works for the kids who don't fit standard pedagogy? Document it. What am I seeing about how they think when the system gets out of their way? So, why neurodivergent students? They'll tell you immediately if the system doesn't work. They can't mask it as well as neurotypical students who often perform compliance even when disengaged. So their feedback is honest and immediate. Let's look at 2 systemic outcomes. On the left side, compliance reproduces inequality. We see the funnel diagram showing the entry the students go into the top. And as you can see, some students are filtered out, filtered left as non-standard, filtered down as special ed. The bottom shows the homogeneous outcome. Only successful students look the same. The system reproduces the same type of success, filters out difference. As you can see on the right side, reasoning creates space. Multiple pathways shown as winding roads leading to diverse outcomes, not always successful, all different, all sophisticated. The bottom line, the system reproduces the same few types of success, but reasoning creates space for different types of success. PBL doesn't fix all systemic inequality, but it does stop this specific mechanism of reproduction. For me, real inclusion isn't about rhetoric, it's about system design that doesn't need to filter because different thinking is legitimately valuable. That's why you're building when you move to reasoning. So, this is a vision slide. I just want to take a little moment and have a think about how this might look in your own classroom. This is what it looks like when different minds work together on something that matters. At the left front, we can see the ADHD student at a computer, hyper focused, designing visual interface for their prototyping tool. In the left middle, we see the autistic student at the wall with a systems diagram mapping relationships between components. At the left back, the teacher, visible, facilitating, asking questions, checking in. At the center, a group discussion. At the right front, a dyslexic student leading visual design, showing layouts and spatial relationships. At the right middle, a student conducting user research, interviewing community members. At the right back, the student analyzing data and creating visualizations. No one is doing busy work. Everyone is doing their sophisticated thinking. So this is the evidence side. This is when, to me, learning gets very interesting. And this is what happens when thinking matters to real audiences. Here we can see some students presenting a water filtration system to engineers, NGO representatives, and city planners. Authentic audience, real stakes. What's visible here? If we just have a look, we can see the students are authoritative. They did the work. They know more than anyone in the room about their solution. Different students lead different parts. You may have one student talking about the design, another student talking about the analytical data. You may have another student talking about implementation and challenges. Real questions will come from the stakeholders and will make it purposeful. Students defending and refining their thinking in real time, not revision for a grade, but for credibility. So, what comes next? Three possible futures, one right turn. We built the first system. We built the first system really well. We can build the next one. The future of learning depends on the design choices that we make now. The real issue is that we designed education for compliance in the first place. You can't solve the AI ethics problem without first addressing the system's design. The question you ask determines what AI becomes. AI is a tool, it will do what we ask it to do. If we ask it to automate thinking, it will. If we ask it to help students think deeper about work that matters, it will do that too. The ethics aren't in the tool, they're in the choice of how we use it, to use it with purpose. When you choose to design for reasoning instead of compliance, you're making a statement. I believe all the different ways human minds work are valuable. I believe the divergence is an asset. I believe that we need different thinking. I believe your way of thinking matters. Let that sit. Thank you so much.